So check it out. One of the ways that I try to reduce the amount of feed use on my farm, since I seem to be able to go through about 3 tons of it in a couple months, is to actually partner with some recycling facilities, and not your normal recycling facilities, right? So like compost facilities. Oftentimes they'll end up with stuff like this. Now, there's a lot of oranges and stuff in there, and the birds aren't going to eat those, so I get to come out here and run over them with the tractor and scoop them all into the dirt. But the majority of it, you're going to have like kale and cabbage and, potatoes and, all kinds of good stuff in there. There's a lot of spaghetti squash and watermelon, baby watermelon or whatever, zucchinis, cucumbers, eggplant, all that good stuff. So you can see that while it looks like a big disgusting heap of disgusting, like this Muscovy hen right here, she's really going to town on that pear. But it's a good way to keep their bellies full without really breaking the bank, since a load of this is donation based for me, and it helps support veterans. It's a good way to keep their bellies full, and everybody partakes in this. The chickens, the ducks, the geese, all of them. They really like eating this stuff, and I even take some down there to that barn where the pigs are and drop over a couple of scoops of that for them, and everybody eats well. But I just kind of like standing out here and looking at the medley of color. It's kind of beautiful seeing all the oranges and greens and purples. Now the way it looks is beautiful, but the smell isn't so beautiful. It's a little stinky, especially when it turns from this into this. It basically turns into a slop. Now, it's not to say that the birds don't still eat this, but they definitely prefer this. As you can see, there's no one over here really doing anything with it. But the nice thing about this is, actually, if I take the loader bucket and kind of run over it, back drag it or whatever, it actually exposes kind of fresh plant material underneath. So it's not bad wholly. But these guys really just you can see the 2 geese there are super excited about it, and over time, like the squashes that are in there, the whatever that squash is, the spaghetti squash, those guys don't really break down readily, same as the cabbages. So all this other leafy material will get eaten up first, same as the watermelons. It'll all get eaten up first, and over time these squashes will start breaking down, and then they can get inside those and eat them. So all this stuff will go, and there will still be squash and stuff, as you can see here. Still a bunch of squash, watermelons and stuff like that. You can see one with a hole in it over there. But they kind of get into them, eat all the seeds out, and then they start breaking down some and getting a little softer, and it feeds them a lot longer than all the leafy green stuff. So, but this load in particular has a bunch of citrus in it, and the birds do not eat citrus. A lot of oranges and lemons and limes, they just don't eat them. So what ends up happening is they just sit here, end up with all these orange things all over the place, and I'll come out here and, do you mind? My God. I'll come out here with the tractor and run them all over to squish them up so we can get a break in them, and they can eventually break down. And then I just kind of hit them with the York rake and push them into a pile over there so that they kind of have a chance to compost. But I mean, the quality of the stuff is pretty good, and it's all more or less like, I don't know, seconds or just discards, maybe extras, or one that's bruised or something like that. That's effectively what this is. You can even see there like summer squash and pears and apples and carrots and yams and broccoli and red peppers, and it's basically everything. And they all eat it. And the interesting thing is, I don't know if you ever heard the saying like shit through a goose. So this here looks like someone had a really bad day, like bleeding from the butt, but this is actually just red pepper. The geese have eaten it, and the term shit through a goose exists for a reason, because like that one right there just did, their digestive tracts move very fast. So often, like in the fall when I feed them pumpkin and stuff, they poop, and well, it comes out orange. And the same can be said for grass and stuff like that. When they defecate, it all comes out green, like freshly shorn grass. So all this stuff will be eaten down in a day or two and spread all over my yard. The nice thing about waterfowl is their movements aren't hot like chickens. Chickens put a lot of nitrogen into their feces and phosphorus and all that good stuff, but waterfowl do not. So them pooping and messing all over the place doesn't actually damage the soil. It actually amends it. There was a time that I had all these guys in some of that electric net fence, and the whole area looked kind of like this. So I moved it and let that area regrow, and by the time it regrew, you could see the difference between where the fence was and wasn't, and the grass was glowing green. It was beautiful, versus where they weren't on that grass. So, if you're looking for a good way to amend your soil or make it, nicer per se to grow grass and all that good stuff, consider a couple waterfowl. There's a lot of my viewers, you kind of live in, suburbs or city or have an HOA or whatever, so you can't have noisy animals. But Muscovy ducks, for example, they don't make any noise. They don't quack, they don't honk. The females, they just make kind of a pippin noise. And the drakes, I think this is a drake, the drakes hiss. Well, that's certainly a drake right there. The drakes hiss. They hiss like a goose would. So they're very quiet. The only thing is with Muscovy, they have a really sharp claw on the inside, and certain breeds can fly. So probably not the best idea to have like heritage Muscovies like that one right there, because they fly really well. These are all French white Muscovies, and they get much bigger than regular. But that doesn't mean that it's necessarily an issue, because French white Muscovy don't have any health issues. They just get much bigger than regular Muscovy ducks. So you don't have to worry about them like with Pekin ducks, where they end up having health issues or anything like that. So if you're looking for a quiet breed of duck, want a friend, they're actually very friendly. You just can't really pick them up and, hold them, because not really conducive to being held. You can see there, that guy with the shrimp hanging out the back, looking all proud. You're gross, bro. You're freaking gross. But so anyway, this is how I save money. Feed them waste. And the nice thing is it actually changes the flavor of the bird. So you can get a nice tasty, well, in this case I sell my drakes for meat. You get a nice tasty drake, and they taste a lot better than regular old grain fed birds. So feed food waste, save it from the landfill.